Yes, a very good morning from wherever you're watching us from, and welcome to Lifestyle Thursdays. My name is Sylvia Wanja, and thank you for choosing to be a part of Lifestyle Thursdays this beautiful morning. We're going to have an amazing time, and as always, we have a topic in place that is going to impact your life, and it's very, very, let's say, how can I say it? It's very timely. And it's very important for us to have the conversation that we're going to have today. And I am not here alone. I am here with the one and only
Rachel Kahugu.
Yes.
I'm very glad to be here. Very, very glad to be here. I do acknowledge that the topic you're talking about today, we have very many people who need this topic. Yeah. Especially after this season where we've had so many people losing their lives, very young people, and also the state of the nation where it's like we were all grieving and mourning without even knowing. So today we're talking about grief and loss. And you know, this is something that we all need to understand. And it's not only not preempting, because sisi tutakuwa tunataka leo. We have a man of God, a psychologist, someone who's the best person to talk about this particular topic. So if you have any question that you'd love to ask, our numbers are very open. 0721105105 on WhatsApp, 23814, our SMS code, which is absolutely free. We're also live on YouTube, on MBCI TV official YouTube page. So feel free to ask any question. Hapa tukitaka serviettes, as you're talking about these topics.
Just cry all you want.
So this is where we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and learn. And you know, go through the process.
Exactly. Yes, don't hold yourself back. So Vinyeta Rachel amesema, find your serviettes, put them close by, or your tissues, or anything that you use, a handkerchief, you know, because unbaggage everything. I know grief and loss can take a toll on so many people, and we have seen it.
Because
you've already started. You're getting there anyway. So without further ado, because I know time will run today, it will rush wherever it rushes whenever we have a very important topic. So let's not take more time, and let's get to know what we're going to discuss today as we introduce our guest today, who is not new to us if you are part of Lifestyle Thursdays. But yes, so karibu sana.
Asante.
It is beautiful to have you here.
I'm humbled. Thank you for the invite. It's always an honor to be with you.
Amazing.
And also serving with you for the calling God has called us. I'm really humbled. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Sylvia, for the invite.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
I really love having you here because anytime you're having a discussion, it is usually very personal.
Exactly. It touches everyone.
It's not just a topic we talk about. It's something that we all relate to. And the fact that it's more of psychology, we get to know ourselves, parts of ourselves that we hadn't known.
And then also integrating that with the fact that he's also a reverend, so there's a spiritual aspect of it. So we get that holistic experience and that holistic learning, which is very, very key. So for someone who is watching or seeing you for the first time and will maybe want to know who our guest is today, you can give an introduction using that camera right there.
Thank you. I'm Reverend Charles Msambai. I'm a pastor. I serve with Kenya Assemblies of God, KAG Springs of Life Chapel at Gilgil Site B. I'm also a consulting counseling psychologist. I specialize in family and addiction, premarital, marital counseling, and general therapies. I'm also serving as the sitting-in secretary, county secretary for the Kenya Counselors and Psychologists Association, Nakuru County. That's where I'm serving, and I'm humbled to be. I'm also a trainer at our, is it a daughter to this ministry, KTTI? I'm serving here as a trainer in Christian ministry and psychology. Yes.
Amazing.
Humbled.
You know, I love, so these are the two things that really catch my attention. One is to see young people truly serving. It really catches my attention. And then just to see men of God and women men of God who are also working for the society, not only kwa pulpits. Like outside. What you said, that you're working with the counselor, psychologist, wa Nakuru.
Nakuru
that's something really beautiful. Our pastors in positions where we know that if you need this, atakusaidia but pia ni mchungaji.
Exactly, ukumbuke.
You know, Rachel, God has not just called us on the altar. God has called us for the society. And I remember Apostle Kimani mentioning that we are serving at the marketplace. So apart from just people accepting Christ, there is another life that they are living, which is so real, which is very real. There is nothing to go around it. And when God, it's more of a calling to be a psychologist, it is part of me. And it has helped me like to serve the generation, the society in a better way with understanding, not just from the biblical point of view and spiritual, but the real life situation. That this is happening, we have to face it the way it is. Just like today's topic, loss and grief. It is real. Jesus went through it.
True.
His mother went through it. Even today we are going through it. And we have just to get to a point of accepting and seeing how can we go through it and at the same time remain spiritual without losing who we are and living a perfect life that God intended for us. And that life should be fulfilling. So I want to appreciate you, Sylvia and Rachel, for thinking about loss and grief, especially after what the country has gone through. This is the highest time of our deep grief. And I believe our viewers are going to benefit through this. Yes.
Amazing.
Thank you.
So let's get started from the top. As we have said that this is very timely. In the past 2 months, we've had we have lost so many people in the country, and everyone is trying to be at par, like keep up with everything that's happening. So let's start with the definition of loss and grief. What is loss and grief?
You know, when we are talking of loss, this is something you have been valuing it, and it's no more. The feeling of grief after losing something you value. This is not only life, but anything you value, including maybe your hair. Maybe if somebody just his hair is cut off unexpectedly, all of a sudden they will grieve. So grief is that process, the feeling, that loss, and what you go through, the feelings that accompany the loss. That is what grief is. And that happens mostly when we lose something that we value in our lives. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Wow. Now, when you talk about something that we value in our lives, you say that it's not only lives. Because when you talk about loss, people mostly think about you've lost someone that you love. That is the major kind of loss that people know. But you said anything that you value. So is it the same kind of grief that you go through when you lose someone, and like when you lose someone and when you lose something that you value? Is it the same kind of grief?
It is not the same, but you know the word grief means sorrow, intense sorrow that someone goes through to cope now with the loss. When you are grieving, you are going through both emotional, psychological, that may result to behavior that comes as a result of you want to cope with what you have lost. I have lost something. I have lost my phone. To cope with that loss, I'll grieve. Now that grieving process is so different. People grieve depending on the attachment to the thing they have lost. Remember, what you may consider valuable to you may not be considered valuable to me.
True.
Parents, when we lose our children or when you lose a parent, to one sibling, it is not a big deal. To another sibling, they have lost their world.
True.
Why? Because it happens like that because these people, it depends with the attachment, the intimacy. How have they been relating? How have they been working together? To me, losing a pet, kanaitwanga kachiwawa. Losing a pet, it's so serious than losing maybe a phone or a business.
For real?
Yes, people have different levels. So the intimacy, the relationship, the closeness you have with that thing that you have lost will determine the level of your grief. Yes.
Okay.
The intimacy, the level of attachment will determine the level of your grieving.
Okay.
Yes.
Probably. Yeah. Let's talk now about the process.
Yes.
If there's one. The process of grieving.
Yes.
Now when you've lost, because you said it's about the intimacy.
Yes.
And how close you are to something or someone.
Yes.
Right?
True.
Now let's talk about, because mnajua hapa ndio the hook iko.
Okay.
The process of grieving.
Yeah. Let's talk about the process of grieving after you've lost someone.
Yes.
Who's very close to you, or something that is very close to you. Yes. Is there a process of grieving?
There is, according to a book written by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She has written something on death and dying. And it has been like a basis, a foundation of therapeutic process in loss and grief. During this process, the first thing that happens, many people, there is no specific like a streamline to follow, but most of the people they live in denial. I have not lost it. Siamini nimepoteza. Hiyo kitu bado iko. If you have lost a beloved one, hata kabla wampeleke kwa morgue, you are still there. Maybe you are spiritual, you are praying, you are still talking to the doctors. So there is the first step is that denial. Denial makes you to process the process until it actualizes that surely this has happened. If you don't go through that process, it will lead to another, which is anger. You become angry. Angry with yourself, angry with the people around you. For instance, you have lost your pet, and then somebody says, kwani hamukuipatia maji? Kwani haikuoshwa? Haikupewa chakula? You become angry. So you are not interested in the cause, but you are interested in that relationship, so you become angry. Even you can be angry with yourself. You feel like, I'm the cause. Kwani niliacha kijana yangu atoke kwa nyumba, aende maandamano? So you become angry with yourself, because that is a process. Now, according to Ross Kubler, she mentioned that people become angry of themselves. Then as time goes by, people begin bargaining, thinking, ni ukweli ameenda. And that is why there is that period of mourning. Mourning is a period between the loss and the burial or acceptance that it has happened. During that period, we need to allow these people now to actualize it, actualize that death. Go through the process, feel like actually it may happen. Actually sina mtoto wangu. I was watching the news on another television, and they were this lady was saying, alienda hatuji kama atarudi. She's still bargaining, she's angry. And everybody is just pushing the flares and all that, because they are still bargaining. They have not accepted. It's not a reality. They are not in it. Although it has happened, they have not actualized. In that process of bargaining, it can lead you back to denial. Or it can make you even more angry. And you can say anything. And that is why during loss and grief, allow the person who has lost to go through the process. Allow them to mourn. Allow them to grieve. And I want to mention this. People mourn differently. People grieve differently. The way I may grieve is not the way Sylvia you may grieve or Rachel you may grieve. That grieving curve is not a straight curve. It is like a zigzag line, because people are wobbling through the process. Then after bargaining, they come to a place where they feel now, at this moment, I think I need to accept the process. At that point, you know, this process is so real. At that bargaining, they feel now it has happened. Reality has dawned. Now he's in morgue. And that is why if it's a lost one, if they have put them in a morgue, never go to burial until they visit once or twice to ascertain that for sure they are gone. That will help them for closure. After burial, life begins. Remember, we may take from the time of loss to the time of maybe burial may take maybe days or months.
Yeah.
But life that you live may take years. And that is why you have to go through the process. The process has to be complete. Even if you are angry, allow yourself to be angry. It's okay. It's okay because you don't have an answer to that. Be angry.
Yeah.
But at that time, as much as you are angry, allow to vent your emotions. Ishawaisikia watu wanasema don't cry. Now when you were told don't cry, why? What is the reason? Because when you don't cry, you are holding inside your emotions and it will come at a wrong time. So that process has to be followed to the latter. Even after burial, if it's a pet, after you have replaced your nail, after maybe people have lost their limbs. It's the same process. They have lost it and they grieve through the process. I lost maybe my right leg. I lost my right eye. I lost my tooth. It is the same process of loss and they grieve through the process. Yes. Yes.
So now, kuna hii part ya grieving. I'm not sure if everyone, you'll tell us kama iko hapo.
Okay.
Kwa kila mtu.
Yes.
But there's a place where it's like, it's fine. It shall happen. Whatever. And now, inafika mahali, especially if you've lost someone or something, you cannot talk about it, make jokes about it. It's like, it's not, ni kama uko numb.
Okay.
Is it also a process? Ama sasa hapo unajua sasa umeheal?
That is a symptom.
A symptom
of uncompleted grief.
Uncompleted?
Yes, the cycle has not been complete. Remember, we have types of grieving. And I'll come to that. That is what we call inhibited grief. Inhibited grief is where you repress the emotions. You don't want to show it. You don't process. You recognize. You get confused. And that's why you feel numb. That is inhibited grieving. Now, this inhibited, if it goes unchecked, it will just come back because you have not processed until closure.
Wow.
Amen.
And is there like a specific time frame for grieving? Like if it's maybe the loss of a pet, I give myself like 2 weeks, I need to be okay. If it's the loss of a loved one, let's say just a friend that who is not even that close to me, like 2 months I'll be okay. Like, is there a time frame?
People grieve depending to how close they are attached to whatever they have lost. There are people who are attached to their teeth as opposed to nail. There are people who are attached to pets as opposed to people. I was watching a documentary somewhere and somebody was saying in 90s and 80s, people were taking their colleagues, brothers, sisters, friends to a show just to enjoy the environment. In 2000 plus, people are taking pets to watch the show end. So it is moving from people-oriented to thing-oriented. And that brings us, Sylvia, to the types of grief people go through. There is no specific time frame. There are those people, remember there are those people who grieve even before the loss. You grieve before the loss. So when the loss comes, you have already grieved. So it will take you shorter time to go through the loss and grief process. But there are those people, like those whose maybe family members, like those who are our young people in Mandamano, those who lost their lives. I want you to imagine this boy left home or from the college, or he was in business. In the evening, he's no more. Parents know nothing about him. Friends don't know nothing about them. At the end of the day, you find this person will take long to grieve through the process. So it depends how close we are. And that is why in these types of grieving, all our viewers need to understand. Sometimes you may feel like I'm through with it. But maybe 3 years, 5 years down the line, it just comes up again. I once went through with us a client who at one point had lost her husband when she was at least 37. But now she was at 67. That is long time, around 20 years. And this lady when she was narrating through the process, she was diagnosed looking for medication. She had no diseases, but she was feeling like, I can't live again. But when I mentioned about the husband, she began crying like, this husband died yesterday. She had not undergone closure. And that is where we need to understand the types of grief.
Okay.
She had no time. So number one, we have something called anticipatory grief. This is the grief that happens before the actual loss. Anticipatory, you anticipate. Kama uko na mnyama, ama ng'ombe, ama kondoo, ama hata mtu wako, they are sick. Even hata watu wenye wako na crops, mvua imenyesha, unaona tu hii itaoshwa. So you begin to grieve before even those plants are destroyed. That is what we call anticipatory grief. Then we have collective grief. This is what happens, group grieving. Like all the Gen Zs are grieving for their beloved. Our nation is grieving. When we had these disasters during the flood, the nation was grieving. That is what we call collective grief, because it's encompassing every person. It comes as a result of war, natural disasters, they come through. And then we have what we call cumulative grieving. Cumulative grieving is where you have multiple losses. You have lost this, for instance, somebody who has been divorced. Then during that process of divorce, they also lose a child. After losing a child, they lose a job. They lose a job, they lose also the property.
Hey, that's a lot.
That's cumulative. So it's coming at one time that is not expected. So it is accumulated at one point. And these people grieve depending on how they are attached to these things. And then there is what we call delayed. And that is where Rachel was mentioning. You feel numb, like hakuna kitu kime happen, staki mtu a mention. Delayed grief is what we call postponed grieving. You postpone grieving. Remember, when we lose something, you may not react immediately, but there is a futuristic part of it. Maybe umekuwa separated or divorced. Maybe you have lost a child. I always tell people, even the stillbirth, even that child that has died before the term, preterm, that parent should mourn. And I always talk to ministers. For instance, mtu ako mjamzito, ako miezi 7, mimba imetoka. To that person, that is a child. Usiseme tu, hii ni kitu tu. No. Because if you postpone that, they will grieve. Hata kama ni mtoto wa siku moja ama 5 ama mwezi mitatu, allow the parents to grieve through. Don't allow them to postpone after days or years. Because sometimes people get involved in the activities and they forget to mourn their beloved one. And during that mourning period, it's an important time of grieving. Go through the process. Go through. Hata kama ni wa siku moja, ruhusu huyo mama, ruhusu huyo mzee, a mourn through. Hata kama ni kamzee ka 102. Have you seen these people who say a life well celebrated? Where do they get these scriptures and the scripts? To you it's a celebration, but to someone, it is a loss. So this person continues to get bit. I have seen siblings who have been having rivals because someone was saying, let us celebrate our dad's or Guka's life. The other sibling says, no, we have lost. How can we celebrate a loss? Depends with the attachment to this person. Yes.
And now, as a psychologist, you've had to handle these issues and cases of loss and grief. And how would you say people are reacting to loss and grief? Do we deal with it in a healthy way, or do we look at it in a very unhealthy way?
Sylvia, thank you for that question. People have been dealing with loss and grief. One, a good number, maybe 30% in a healthy way, but the rest 70% unhealthy way. One, reason being traditionals. Our traditions. You know, even our faith sometimes betrays us. Don't cry. But But Jesus wept.
Yeah, right.
When he went at the tomb of Lazarus, he wept. Usilie, at it's okay. It is well. Where? How?
Not. What do you mean?
To who? Let's be realistic. And sometimes we hurt those people who have lost their beloved ones instead of helping them to heal. We need to choose our words. This Kafres we are celebrating, don't cry. It should never be heard anywhere to a close person who has lost. Because you cannot share the feelings. You cannot share the pain. And that is why people are grieving unhealthy, and at the end of the day you find they just blow up. Unaona tu mtu anaanza kufanya vitu za kiajabu kwa sababu hakukuwa allowed kwenda through the grieving period. We need to give them time. We need the professional approach, and this will really help not just our country or the marketplace, even the church. This lady who has lost her husband needs to be taken through the loss and grief counseling. This husband who has lost the wife, may be divorced or separated. Tusiwaambie sasa nimeolewa kwa Yesu. This is a real life. As much as wanaolewa kwa Yesu, they have a real life to live. Let's take them through so that they understand what has happened, how to deal with it. People have lost a relationship. They are working towards wedding. Mtu ana break relationship. Mtu amekuwa na boyfriend, anamuacha. And they are really mourning. They are grieving. They have lost. They had maybe made a covenant. Wengine hata wameingia na contract. Mwingine hata amechukuliwa loan. Alafu mwambie it is well. Ama mwambie God will take care of it. Allow them to mourn. Allow them to grieve. Allow them to see it in black and white, so that when they grieve through the process successfully, they will have a good chance to get now in the next step. Many people are stuck because they have never grieved their past.
And you've said something very important.
Yes.
That you shouldn't tell them that it's well, it's okay, don't cry.
Don't cry.
So what are you supposed to tell them? What are you supposed to tell this person when they are mourning or when they are going through something? What are you supposed to tell them?
You know, Rachel, I lost my dad around 3 years ago, 2022. I mean 2 years ago. And I remember one person, just one, who just came and sat close to me and held my shoulders. He never spoke anything. I felt that warmth. The first thing when you get to a person who has lost, be it a person, a relative, just be present. I always tell people, make sure your mouth is shut until it is necessary to speak. Sometimes when we are talking too much, we think we are helping, but we are hurting. Ushawahi enda mahali mazishi ama mahali watu wamepoteza, ukasikia mtu alisema kitu kinaniumiza kuliko mwenye amekufa. So we leave people hurt more than they should be healed. And this is something we have to deal with. So number one, just be present. Just be present. Number two, when you go and meet these people, ask them, where can I help? Usijifanye anataka kula na yeye hataki kula. Don't pressurize them. Just kindly have courtesy. Ask them, where can we help? Can I be of help anywhere? They will always tell you. Number three, just bring them close. Walk along. Do not lead. Don't lead them. Walk beside them. Walk along. Anataka kwenda market. Walk beside them. Help them to relax and show them that life can still continue. There is still hope. Because after this, remember you are alive, I'm alive. So at the process, this person should understand life must continue. Help them, walk with them. Don't lead them. Don't force them to think like the way you are thinking. In fact, I tell most people, get to their...
Yeah.
Don't come in with what you have.
Wow, amazing. The conversation is getting more deeper by the second, but I'm hoping it is impactful to you and you're getting the most important pointers. We're going to take a very short break right here at Lifestyle Thursdays, but we'll be coming back so that we can finish on this topic. So make sure you stick around for that. Don't go too far. We'll be coming in a very, very short while.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Next on
hair pool cream for your natural hair growth. Nywele 500 customer, mea nywele 500 customer, mea nywele 500 customer.
Tunatafuta mheshimiwa, amekuwa summoned wala hapii kwenye koti. Sawa sawa madam.
Mama ilugu wetu mheshimiwa.
Kwa hivyo hata vitu zenye tunatumia kwa hii nyumba hujui kwenye zinatokana.
Oh, okay. Kwani ni unapeana na huyo mashuga mami? Kwani hao ndio umeweka? Bali wacha nifanye hivi, wacha niende, wacha nikuache.
Kuna ya mafuta hapo, kuna ya boga.
Hii.
Enda ununue.
Chukua wewe ukanunue nayo hiyo mafuta unasema.
Kama hutaki kutumia hizo pesa, wacha na enda upike yenye utapika. Na tukule, tunataka kula. Tuko njaa.
We, ni nini? Utaniua.
Unanipea ama unipei?
Amekataa.
Ni aibu kuja uone.
Ngoja, hawa wawili.
Tuwaambie watusaidie.
Ngoja, wamekataa.
Kwanza na tiki.
Jana mzigo. Jana mzigo.
Chape tena.
You have to getting along with other workers, but this one.
Kuna mtu amekuja kuua, please mvute kasi. Please nakusihi tu.
It's Josh.
Utazida. Kama unajipenda, hebu vuta hiyo takataka yote kwa hiyo.
Is it true?
Nimesema kama unajipenda.
Waridi jangwani.
Prepare for a life-changing experience at the Turning Point International Conference 2024. Hosted by Bishop Dr. Peter and Reverend Sophie Mankura at Goshenland Kiserian. Guest ministers will be Archbishop Harrison Nganga, Reverend Lucy Wangunjiri, Archbishop Peter Tankua, Bishop Titus Masika, Apostle Richard Mayanja. Turning Point International Conference 2024 from August 5th to 11th. Experience anointed sessions from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and revival meetings from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. daily. Worship music ministers will be Florence Mureithi, Charity Nashipai, Timothy Opoti. Our theme this year will be Open Heavens, inspired by Isaiah 64, 1-4. You will also be able to join us live on Dominion Airwaves DCMI and Dominion Chapel Ministries International on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Come experience the move of God. Remember, it will happen daily from August 5th to 11th, 2024. God bless you as you prepare to come.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Yes, welcome back, guys. Remember, this is Lifestyle Thursdays with me, Sylvia Wanja. And yes, we are having a conversation about loss and grief, and we have gotten to understand what it is, the various types of griefs that we go through, that we sometimes even overlook and even avoid. But yes, we're getting to understand so much. I'm hoping that you're still sending in your questions. We do understand that right now so many people are going through grief, loss. People have lost their businesses, others have lost their loved ones. So many people have lost so many things. But now grieving is important, but again, when it comes to this grief and loss, yes, it's something that's happening, but we're going to get it fixed in a while. So yes,
we're still on.
Yeah, we're still on. We're still on. So tusikize tu before fundi wa mitambo afanye vitu 1 2 pale alafu tutarudi. So yes, again we are talking about grief and loss, and we were continuing with the conversation that we were having today. And yes, Rachel, you said you have a question that you wanted to ask. This is generally when you've lost someone.
Yes.
And then someone who's very close.
True.
Yeah. And you go through it, na inafika mahali unajiambia ni kama nimeheal, niko sawa. Ni kama niko sawa. By the fact that you can actually talk about it, at a big story. But now there's a part where I think we don't talk about Sarah. Like a voice here that ni kama inakwambianga who's going next? What are you losing next? It's like every time ukisikia ambulance, my lord, and you want to call mko sawa?
Yes.
Or anytime unapitana na gari alafu umepitana na hearse, uko like, oh my god, it's like, is it a sign? Is someone leaving? Happening? So is that something that happens? I mean, it's a personal problem to some people.
It is not personal, it is a normal reaction. It's one thing that we call processing grief and processing your loss. It is what we call also the fear of unknown. Remember, the way we have been nurtured, there is what you know about death. And it has been with you through the process. Regardless of whatever it is, that definition of death will determine how we react towards the loss. So that voice kakukwambia, who is next, it's normal. Are you aware when you leave, you are risking to die?
No,
being alive is risking to die. It's a fact. You will never live forever, including me. So it is not, Rachel, it is now knowing through the process that this is the reality. It is not a myth. It is not fiction. It is a reality. Now, being a reality, that is where we actualize. That's where we actualize that death. And when somebody actualizes that death, it is very, very important to understand it can happen to someone and it can happen to me. But the moment we close it that it's someone else, that is when things now turn around. When such a thing happens, it always goes back to your mind. And I want to tell people that our viewers, there are symptoms that will help you. That you, when you see these symptoms, you have to learn that you are still grieving. Number one, every time you find there is a grieving moment or a loss, there is that what we call upset stomach. Ukisikia tumbo yako inaanza kuchafuka, and some rush to the washroom, it is a sign. It's a symptom that this is a loss and the process of grieving is there. Increased heartbeat. Ukisikia palpitating, what we call it heart palpitation. That is a sign. When there is joint or muscle pain, na haujatembea, haujaenda gym. I can see you, Rachel. There is nausea, feeling nausea. This happens a lot. Yes. And then there is restlessness. When you lose something, you are restless. This means that grieving period.
It's there.
Ukisikia to your ambulance, una feel restless. There is something. You have not come to a closure. Fatigue. You feel fatigued. Headache. You feel like reduced or increased appetite. Sometimes when you're thinking about it, the appetite just tunasemanga imepotea. Ama unasikia tu kukula. You are now compensating, you want to cover it. You have trouble sleeping, which we call insomnia. And sometimes it just happens during that process. You feel confused, and sometimes too much sleep. It's a process of grieving. And sometimes it gets to a point of you have trouble thinking or decision making. Unasema hata sifikiri kitu. Huwezi fanya decision. At that moment, it's a process you are going through. You have difficulty on focusing on things you are supposed to do. Actually, unajipata hauna uwezo wa kufocus on anything chenye unafikiria tu in your minds. It is the loss. At that moment, the grieving period is still in the process. And also, if it gets to a point, it's difficult for you to remember the responsibilities you are supposed to accomplish. At that moment, my viewer, you are still grieving.
And what happens when you get to that point whereby you grieve to a point of it even affects how you deal with people, your day to day? How can you snap out of that?
That is what we call you are at anger, and you can be angry with the doctors. Kwa nini hawakushughulikia? You can be angry with those who broke. Kwa nini hamukumleta hospitali mapema? You can be angry with ththose people. Kwa nini hamukumlinda? Hata nyinyi mlikuwa tu hapo mkiona anakufa. Now, that is where we come to the coping mechanism. Many people don't know how to cope, but I want to take them through something that can help them to cope with grief and loss. Number one, practice self-care. Take care of yourself. Nobody will take care of you until you begin taking care of yourself. Let me use you two ladies. When you don't go to the salon, nobody will come to make your hair.
Very true. You have to take the initiative.
But take yourself there. So take care of yourself. Eat well. Number two, stick to your routine. Loss and grief can destabilize your routine, your daily work. Especially when you are, unajua ninastahili kwenda job, ninastahili kufungua biashara. When we go through loss, it can destabilize that routine. Remember to go back to that routine. Tally each week or each day the task you have completed. Number three, attend to your emotions. Deal with your emotions. And that is where you have mentioned about feeling angry with everybody around you. And you can't explain why. Some people are just nice to you. But we wanna feel to piece off. There is something, deal with your emotions. These painful emotions can result someone to be tearful, just to isolate themselves. At that moment, you need to have close friends, what we call significant others. And how can you deal with your emotions? Journal them down. Write down what you are going through. Tell stories about your past. For instance, if you lost a close friend, talk about him. Talk about good things, good moments. And that is how these foundations come after someone has passed on. They say Charles Foundation because they want to outlive his life. They want to speak the good things. The more you speak about this person, the more you grieve, the more you come to closure. But if you remain silent and hold it, it now holds in your heart. Then also speak to a therapist or a grief counselor. Find someone you can talk to. Many people, they find it hard to talk to others, maybe by tradition or maybe by the choice. But grief is like any other thing someone goes through. Find someone to talk to, especially a professional. Yes. Yes.
I think it's very easy to talk about something that you've lost, or someone that you've lost.
Yes.
Generally to friends, blah, blah, blah. But not sitting there with the therapist and you know how the sessions are. Who was this person to you? How do you feel when you think about it?
Good. You know, therapists are trained counselors and psychologists who knows how to approach. I know the world outside there. We have many people who call themselves counselors, but they are not ethically, professionally right. There is an approach when you approach somebody who has lost. So hiyo swali unauliza haistahili kuwa. At who was he? Who was he to you? In fact, by you coming and talking about that person, he is already someone to you.
Then why do they ask?
Because the approach. Remember Rachel and Sylvia, you will talk to me the way I'll approach you. If I approach you wrongly, you will close and you will not speak. And we have harmed. We have actually hurt a lot of clients than helping them. And many, I want to tell you and our viewers, there are many counselors and psychologists outside there who are ethically right and professionally right. You can reach to us in through, and we can help you through the process. Because there are those who can, maybe mtu amefanya tu certificate, ama mtu ameenda tu pale akafanya what we call maybe disaster management, akasema ama psychologist ama counselor. Na maswali mengine anapokuuliza, badala ya kukusaidia ufunguke, at that moment inakufanya you close. A therapist should help you to open up and speak about yourself. Actually, they should use less time to speak and give you more time to talk about it. And also allow you to speak what you feel you want to speak about. I should not coerce you to speak what I want to hear as opposed to what you want to tell me. And that is where ethics, techniques of counseling and skills come in. So we always go, si ati mtu hawezi shauri, but you have the skills
to do it.
To do it. So we are lacking the skills to take people through the process. And that is where many clients have been harmed. And that's why I'm encouraging even the ministers of the word. They need to go through this so that they can gain the skill. Si ati hawajui kushauri, you know how to counsel. But do you have the skills? Are you ethically right? So those skills are the ones we have to instill to go through the process of even loss and grief, premarital counseling, and other processes. Yes.
Oh, wow. There's something that we have mentioned a little bit off air, where you asked me if I have ever lost a thing. And I remembered of a time when I was around class 6, I lost a pet, a cat. And I shared how after I lost that cat, my relationship with cats nowadays ni mbali kidogo. This is a cat, cool, but I don't want any form of bond or relationship with that cat. And then you shed some light on that. Now, maybe also the viewers at home will want to know what we have learned from that, because I've learned something that I didn't make anything of it then, but now that you have told me about it, I now think that, hey, there's a place I missed with the grieving process.
There is something I want to tell our viewers, that it is what we call absent grief. Absent grief is where you don't show any sign outwardly that you are grieving, but inside you are really suffering. When this absent grief continues inside you, like just the way you lost that pet, it gets to a point where you meet someone, maybe you lose another friend, who is now a human being, but not a pet, or you lose a close relative, you will find yourself mourning and going even deeper. Now, that is just one, shows that you have not closed down that grieving. Number 2, it may just put you off. Sitawahi kutana na cat, ama sitamlea. Nitawaonanga tu lakini hawezi nikaribia. That is what has happened to people even in marriage. Somebody who lost maybe a husband at 28, they say, I will never get married. And when they see others living happily with their husbands, and I say, wow, I wish I had mine. That means there was no closure in that process. So they escalate it to another thing because they have never gone through it successfully and come to a closure. So I would encourage that is where we seek professional counseling. That is where we seek professional help so that we may close up on this. Remember, if we don't, other things will be happening because losing is part of our life. If we have lost our pet today, tomorrow we may lose maybe someone, we may lose something, and it will be piling. It will get to a point whereby we get what we call decentralized grief, where the society now says, haustahili kulilia paka. Unawezaje lia juu ya paka? How? And that is disfranchised grief. So ikifika that plus may hold. So it'll grow. As it grows, it gets to a point now when something just has happened, unalia ni kama dunia yote imeisha. But you are carrying all the sorrow, all the loss that you have been walking with, now inatokea at one point. Just like somebody amekosana na watu, and then mtoto wake anakosea, sasa hiyo wamefunga shule, children are closing school, then vitu zime happen. Sasa hivi mtoto amekuja hana marks mzuri, hizo vitu zote zime happen, alikuwa deal nazo, but kwa sababu huyu mtoto amekosea, anamuongelesha ama mpige, he's now doing what we call, he's bringing it out, acting on this child, but the child has not done a mistake as opposed. So the loss and grief is the same. Kuna people, they just cut off the relationship. Sitaki kurelate na mtu, sitaki kurelate na this animal, sifungui biashara tena juu zilichomwa, siwezi ajiriwa tena juu nilifutwa prematurely, and now they are grieving through the loss of what they have gone through. And it happens in many facets. It's multifaceted in many spheres of our lives. Yes.
Okay. And now that has reminded me something. When I think in primary school, you were very young. There was a certain girl who had lost her mom, and that was like 1-2 years.
Yes.
Before now these incidents happened. So it happened that unajua sasa na hii utoto ya primary school and everything, alikuwa na, she was rearing a grasshopper. So angeleta grass, afanye kila kitu, hata hakukubali itolewe hizi the whatever, but I couldn't enter anywhere. So it happened that your grasshopper ikapass, kakakufa, I mean, the grasshopper. But the lady cried. She cried, she had to go home. Like I have kupewa ruhusa kwenda home because it was from boarding school. Akapewa ruhusa kwenda home. By then, we didn't think of it. We were like, ni mbana msichana, why are you crying like that because of a grasshopper? They get serious with your life, cry because of something else, like Max. Get serious, amka. But sasa, now that you've explained, I think we now get to understand that even when it happens right now, or when it happens to someone, we know that she's not grieving because of, as tunaona kama kitu kidogo, but kama tuko na background story, we do know that she's not grieving the grasshopper, she's grieving the mom.
Yes.
Because now as we didn't do,
you didn't know that.
Tulikuwa tu tunaona grasshopper. Kumbe you said
the attachment.
The attachment. Unaweza kuwa postpone. Ule mwana nataka kukuwa a strong lady, you know. And then later something is happening and it triggers everything.
You know, Rachel, having said that, we should never assume children should not go through loss and grief. Even when children lose their beloved ones, or even people who are close, their parents or their friends, we need to help them go through loss and grief. Help them to go grieving period. Children have emotions. They just have the feelings as any other person. The way adults are affected by death or loss, that is how children get affected. As simple as moving from one estate to another. As simple as changing the school. They lose friends. They lose teachers. And they grieve. Before you realize, hata wengine wanaambiwa you are dropping in performance. But this child is grieving. We need to involve them through the process. Hata kununua gari ingine ama motorbike ingine ama baiskeli, there is an attachment to them. To them is not just a thing. It is so personal. loss and grief cuts across. Yes.
Everyone. Okay. And we were talking about how sometimes you get stuck in grief. Like mtu anaweza jitoaje kwa situation kama hiyo. If let's say you are going through grief and you can't seem to go past it.
You know, there is what we call ambiguous grief.
Yeah.
Ambiguous grief is where you have lost something. Kwa mfano watu wameenda vitani na mwili haupatikani. Yes. That is what we call ambiguous grief. And they presume that that body will never be found or it is somewhere. The same happens and people get stuck in grief. One, maybe because they have no one to walk along. It's either by knowledge or not by knowledge. And this is where we have to get to a point and say, okay, it has happened. How can I come out of it? Number one, the significant others. Those people who are close, they should have the knowledge on how to walk with you through the grief. Number two, never assume the way I grieve is the way you can grieve. Every person who is going through grief should be allowed to take their own journey. It is never the same. There is no specific script that has been written that people should grieve like this. People grieve differently at different levels. Number three, always have a work plan for yourself. People will never come to support you. At most, people, especially who have lost their husbands, especially who have lost their children, close people, people don't care. They will come to take what you have. You need to accept it has happened. Then from there, seek a professional help. That is how you can come out of it. And I want to talk to our viewers. Hii mambo ya kusema counseling ni kuongeleshwa tu. Nilipie. They need to change the mindset. They should not say it is a Western culture. Walk with these people because life must continue. Find a professional. A psychologist. Nowadays I'm telling people, when you go for someone to be counseled, ask them, are they registered? Do they have a registration number? So that in case of anything wrong, you can hold them accountable. The government is registering counselors and psychologists, and we want to thank our government. We have the counselors and psychologists board. We need to be registered, and that will help us now to go to specific people for help. That is how we can come out of loss and grief, especially when we are bound. Let's seek for professional help. Yes.
So let's get some vox pop so that we can see how people in the streets deal with loss and grief. Do they do it in the right way, or do they need to correct or change how they deal with grief? So let's get to hear what people have to say about how they deal with grief and loss.
Thank you so much for speaking with MBCI. You'll tell us, how do you normally cope up with pain whenever you are having a challenge, or maybe you have lost your loved ones, maybe you are having some challenge with your loved ones?
Okay, for me, to stay in a positive surrounding, doing some exercise, na kufanya kitu nye unapenda, like unafanya kitu nye za kudistract na that pain, as you lose hope. Like kuna kesho, na kesho ni different from today.
And I think the only way you can deal with the pain of losing a loved one is by accepting and moving on. It can take some time because losing someone is not an easy thing. But with time, you will finally get used to it, and you will realize that your loved ones, they have gone, and you can actually do nothing about it anyway. You can engage in certain activities. You can look for new hobbies. Maybe if you didn't have hobbies, you can look for some, talk to friends, other family members also.
What is your advice to someone who is going through pain right now?
You should accept.
Me time mwenye na go through, maybe nimepoteza mtu mwenye napenda, I always naekanga nyimbo zenye zinani comfort, as in like zina make nikuwa at least nisahau na those things. Yeah, napata naenda kwa my bestie na mwambia, so anani encourage with 1 2 1 2. Kitu naweza mu encourage is like kila kitu, hakuna kitu ilikuwangi naenda. Hata that person maybe alikuwa afae, you have to lose that person on the way to find yourself. So maybe you lose that person for you to find yourself. Yeah.
Kitu ya kwanza unajia Mungu. Kitu ya pili unamuomba Mungu. Kitu ya tatu unavumilia.
Like me kudeal na pain, mi naonanga kunyamaza iko tu fiti. Ukinyamaza tu utulie, uchungu tu inaendanga ikiondokanga peke yake. Yeah, like unaona kusikiza tu nyimbo tulia hivi, kakofi hivi, inakuwa tu iko sawa. Yeah, mtu anapitia uchungu. Sahi maoni yangu saa like naweza mwambia tu like ajifunze kucope na pain zake. Like ukiona pain yako usirushie pain yako mtu mwingine. Like ka ile tunasemanga like unatoa ubaya wako na mtu mwingine, pain zako unajiwekea. Na kama unataka like kuna wale unajua kuna wale wase wenye uongea na mtu inatoka, lakini si ati pain zako unaenda kutolea furugu kwa mwingine.
Yes, we've had how people deal with loss and grief. Kuna wenye wanasikiza music, kuna wengine wana engage in hobbies, kuna wengine wana interact with family. And maybe Reverend, you can take us through wenye wamesema hapo hivi. Is it healthy? What is healthy? What is unhealthy?
Some of them have talked about a healthy way, especially kusikiza nyimbo, kuongea na rafiki, kufind somebody, walk along. That is a healthy way. Talking to someone about what you are going through, kuona the reality of it, and this is something that has happened to me and going through it. Lakini hiyo ya kunyamaza, hiyo ya kunyamaza is not healthy.
The problem.
Don't be silent. Talk to someone. Remember, you will never find yourself when somebody passes on or when you lose something. You need to realize that this is na usikari forward. Hii ya kusema ni kufe kimwanamume. Accept and move on. Unajua it is easy said
than done.
Professionally, you don't just, acceptance is not an easy word to be done as it is said. Allow yourself to go through that grief. Na usiharakishe kwenda through. Hata kama itakuchukua, afadhali kuchukue 5 years, ku grieve through the process, but you will live another 50 years. Then you take 1 day to go through grief, and then you live the next 2 weeks. There are people who have sunk into depression because they held it inside them. They wanawaza na kuwazua ndani ya mawazo yao na hawana mtu wa kumwambia. Find someone to talk to. It is always a healthy way. There is a guy who has said that atamuomba Mungu. It is good. Actually, prayer helps. Do you know when you go to prayer, it is a therapy. It's what we call spiritual therapy. You go pray, you release your emotions, you cry to God, and that is where maybe in psychology we call the Gestalt therapy. You have an empty chair, you talk to God, you tell him everything you are going through, you go home relieved. It works. But there is a point where it will not go away completely. I want to insist on this. Please, 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 make sure you have someone to talk to, a professional. Yes.
A professional person.
Don't live alone. Na kuna watu ambao wanaji-isolate, anakaa peke yake. Make sure you have someone that will be close to you. Usikae peke yako. Because things happen when you are alone in isolation.
True.
Yes.
That's the point, exactly. Because especially in our generation right now, when someone is going through something, they want to just go back to Akakwed and
stay alone.
Yeah, they just stay alone, and you're so used to hearing people say, give me time, I'll be fine. I'm a strong one, you just give me time. I know right now I want to be alone. which is very comfortable sometimes, and it can get too comfortable. Jikute unanga mabeshte, it's just
and you're okay.
Yeah. So as you said, don't get too comfortable in that kakwen alone. Get someone to talk to. It's usually beautiful when you have someone to tell everything, to just pam. Atakama, there's nothing they'll tell you.
Yes.
Just speak. I think that helps.
Isolation is something that promotes people to live on their own island, and it can lead to self-destruction. When we talk of self-destruction, is that every time you are alone, you have no other mind to interact with. And as you have mentioned about the young people with the phone, they are quick to go on the internet, find solutions there, but those solutions are not lasting. Most of the time, it will give you a quick fix, but for how long? Ukiingia kwa ngori, you need people. God created us as emotional beings. And that's why there must be just a time you put away your phone, you need just to meet people. We are real human beings, we're facing real problems, and we need real answers, real solutions to those problems.
Okay, we can see time is so far gone, it's so much spent, and we are coming to the end of the show, but before we get to that point, maybe Rev, we can talk about some of the myths and misconceptions that are there when it comes to grief and loss, and maybe we can replace them with the facts as we wind up.
Number one, there is a myth that when you lose a loved one, you should not cry, and that crying is a sign of weakness. That is a myth. People express their pain through tears and pain. And through that process, you should cry. Allow people to cry. Wote wenye wamemjua Yesu na wale hawajamjua Yesu. Never tell somebody, don't cry. Another myth is this, that you must, when you lose something important, you should not show a sign like kama wanyama makazi. You have to be strong. I want to tell our viewers that be strong for yourself before you become strong for someone else. Don't be ati kwa sababu ya watoto kuwa na nguvu, kwa sababu ya familia kuwa na nguvu. Wewe nani atakuwa na nguvu kwa ajili yako?
I remember someone told me that. That you're the firstborn, you have to be strong for the others. I was like, wow. Wow.
So who will be strong for you, Rachel? That is a misconception. Never tell someone, be strong for others. Tell them, be strong for yourself. Jesus told Peter that after you have been saved, you'll encourage others. So after saving, you first get encouraged to have the strength of encouraging others. So in normal life, be strong for yourself. You can only give what you have. You cannot give what you don't have. And the third misconception is this, ya kwamba si lazima watu waone mwili, si lazima watu wachukue muda kumon kile ambacho wameenda through. It is a misconception. Allow people to go through that process. It will help them for closure, including if it is a relative or a close person. Allow them kumwaga mchanga. Usiseme kuweka mchanga ni kuamsha mapepo. Another misconception, kuota ya kwamba yule ulikuwa rafiki yake haimaanishi amekuwa pepo amekurudia. Because this person you have lived with them for 20 years, for 30 years, when did they change to be demons? When do they change wakawa mapepo? Hawa watu, it is just in your unconscious memory. It is coming back. Akili iko na uwezo. Our brain has the ability to store the images the way we walked through. So unapoota, si ati amekuwa pepo. You are just, the mind is reminding you the kind of life you have been. Don't demonize everything.
See, where do you draw the difference? Because kuna a lot of discussion around that.
I know.
A lot of discussions. So where do you draw the line between nimwota na huyo mtu? And sometimes I know someone who says that nilikuwa nimemiss mtu, so I asked God, let me dream na yeye leo atanimuone, you know. And then at some point it's the evil spirit and the people who have actual testimonies that I dreamt until it started like ikaanza kunisumbua sasa generally. So where do you draw the line?
The line is drawn when it is spirituality and now when we come to real life.
Okay.
So for instance, you have lived with your dad or your mom or your friend who has been good. and he has passed on. When did he change to be a demon?
Well, he's not a demon.
He's not.
Yeah.
But he becomes a demon when now the devil takes the picture of that person, the resemblance of it, to harm you.
How do you know?
That is it. Now in spirituality, that is where we go to assessment. What is happening? Because if this person has been in my life a good person, maybe for the first 3-4 weeks, 5, bado nitakuwa nikimuwaza. So hata ukilala utaota tu. Ni kama mama amepoteza mtoto, hata akilala anastukia kama amemshika. Hiyo tu ni mawazo inarudia. But now if it goes beyond the normal, that is now we need to interrogate it deeper. And then we can bring the spirituality on it. But now on the onset we spiritualize, we will be doing it no justice. And sometimes people who are real, na wengine hata wanafika mahali, they are mentally, psychologically affected, or they are mentally sick. Na tunasema ni mapepo, lakini psychologically wameenda kwa depression, wamekuwa stressed, they are in depression, they need help. So don't just demonize it. First assess, is this person in their real sense? Are they in their normal sense of mind? If they are not in that normal sense of mind, they might be undergoing what we call depression as opposed to spiritual. And I want to thank this means the MBCI and all that team, because they are now bringing them. People are assessed. Kabla tuseme unahitaji deliverance, unahitaji kuwa assessed. Is it really deliverance? Ama uko na depression? Ama uko stressed? Because some people find it easy to go spiritual way as opposed to mental health support. Yes.
Oh, okay. But maybe as we wind up, you can mention that it is okay to grieve. It's okay to go through the process, and maybe even before you do that in a minute.
Yes, Rachel.
Before you do that, there's something that you said that even as you continue grieving, that it's professional for you to know that when we move on to the life, mahali grief inakupata at whatever stage you are, go through it. The next day be okay. Go through it because you need yourself.
True.
Right?
True.
Okay.
And we need to accept that it's okay not to be okay. You should not imagine that not being okay is something you need to struggle about. Kila siku inaamkanga, kama leo asubuhi hakukuwa na jua vizuri, but kesho hatujui itakuwaje. It's okay not to be okay. And when it happens, please accept who you are. Walk through the process. Don't find a shortcut because it will get you unaware. Itakuja mahali ambapo unastahili kustand, ikuweke chini. Allow yourself to negotiate through the process of grieving after the loss, and then walk through those processes so that you can have a perfect and healthy future that God has prepared for you.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me.
Perfect. Wow. Yeah, so maybe you can share your number to those who would like to maybe reach you and talk to you about their loss and grief, or maybe any other issue that involves mental health, using this camera right here.
Thank you so much. Those who want to reach me, they can reach me on 0723 465 999. They can reach us here at Kingdom Seekers Fellowship Nakuru. They can also reach me at Gilgil. And then in Naivasha and Ndonyo Hospital in HC, they can reach us there and we can serve you.
Amazing. Amazing. So that marks the end of the topic of discussion today on loss and grief, which was very, very important. It was important for us to go through that. We know we have lost friends, kwa maandamano, others accidents. We have experienced that loss and grief. So it's best for us to know how to deal with it, okay? But for now, see, tupate Chicken Style, and then we'll be coming back to discuss it. And then a little later, hit the gym.
All right.
Yes.
So again,
and the number is on the screen.
There's the number on your screen. You can always call, text, do all that.
Exactly.
Go through it. The point is, you will be fine.
Yes.
You'll be okay. Life has to go on. All right?
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Rachel, for having me. Thank you, Sylvia, for having me. May God bless you.
God bless you too.
Amen. Thank you.
Yes. So let's get Chicken Style.
Chicken Style.
Yes. Job interview is about striking the right balance between professionalism, appropriateness for the industry, and personal style. Whether you're aiming for a corporate position, a creative role, or a job in a more casual setting, your outfit can help you make a positive and lasting impression. Remember, the key to a successful interview outfit is to fill time to plan your outfit, pay attention to the details, and step into your interview ready to impress. That is it here in Chic in Style. My name is Sylvia Wanjar. Remember to stay chic and in style. Amazing.
Remember to stay
chic and in style. Exactly. Remember to stay chic and in style. Exactly.
How beautiful.
Usikubali kuchapa tu hivi hivi. Yeah, unajua tunasemanga ati kokoka ni kuboeka, so ati uvai hivi hivi. Unavaa shati imeandikwa sengenge ya ng'ombe. Ama inaitwa I see where you're going. Yeah, so that what we were focusing on job. Sikuwa na shida na mtu, by the way, I promise.
Okay.
But yes, so last week and last week, but we looked at outfits that you can wear when you're going to church. And for this particular one, we were focusing on what to wear if you're going for a job interview. Ama you have just reported to work, you're supposed to, figure out wardrobe ya kazi. Because people wear, depending on where you're working.
Ya kazi is a lot.
Okay, let me give an example with myself. Before when I was a student, I was still growing up, my wardrobe ilikuwa very casual, okay? I used to wear trousers and, it was very, very casual. Then the moment I got to finish school and I had to go into, ningeesa kwa kazi, I had to change my entire wardrobe kwa sababu, yeah, so I had to find more formal clothes, so that I can look formal. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And funny enough, you never know what is formal, what you need to wear, especially when you just need to do it.
Exactly.
You're
lost. Where do I start?
Whatever we get is what we
go with. Exactly. So tumewapea cheat sheet, especially for the ladies. If you're going for a job interview and you need to stand out, if you dress and you feel comfortable, it'll be easier for you to even express yourself. And yeah, you'll be okay. So make sure you do that. So I think that is it right here.
Yeah.
We've had a very productive session, a very interesting conversation. Impact kila mtu. So if you're out there and you're going through loss and grief, I pray that this particular show was a blessing to you and you now know the steps that you need to take so that you can get better, okay? So yeah, that is it. Tawachana hit the gym, ndo mweze kuwa stronger than your excuses na mpige tizi. Hello Kahugu.
Me directly.
Anyway,
so what we'll do, tutakuwa na hit the gym, so that yours truly will tell us, sisi wote, what to do pale kwa gym and how to stay healthy and how to stay fit. All right. Others, God bless you. God be with you. Thank you for tuning in right from Rausha. We've had an amazing time. We had some movie hapo katikati, and now we are here. Tumemaliza Lifestyle Thursday, which is really amazing. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
A very good morning and karibu sana to episode 2 of the series that we started of the full body toning or body recomposition. My name is Faith Mwewa. Karibu sana. Last time I knew it was not very easy, so today expect more. Karibu sana. I'm not alone. Yeah. Karibu.
Hi guys, how are you? My name is Sylvia Wanjar. We're going to have an amazing time. And remember, as we always say, anytime you go to the gym, anytime you decide to work out, make sure you carry your smile with you because it's not going to be an easy journey. But you can do it.
I know.
Yes.
How was last time?
Yeah.
What do you expect today?
Yeah.
I love that. Karibu sana, we have our fitness trainer with us. Karibu sana.
Hi guys, my name is Triza Genga. Chester.
Yes.
Nakuru.
So last time we were upper body.
I know.
And
lower body.
Okay, so let's get started and take us through what we do.
Okay. So now our lower body are comprised of our quads, our hamstrings, our calves, and our glutes. Yes.
Okay.
So we are going to do workouts. 2 workouts for quads, 2 for hamstring, 1 for hamstring, yeah, and 2 for glutes. Yes.
All right.
Yeah, and 1 for calves. Yes. So the first one we're going to do, it's called a goblet squat. Then you hold your goblet this way, you lean your body forward slightly, then you squat.
Yeah, so we've just done the quads.
Yeah.
So we're going to move to the next muscle group.
To the hamstring.
The hamstring.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's continue.
So for the hamstring, we'll do 2 workouts. First one, we'll do a stiff leg, dumbbell, deadlift. You hold 2 dumbbells, you put your legs stiff, not too stiff, but somehow stiff. Then chest out, then you bend. When you feel a certain stretch in your hamstring, you come back up. Yeah. Then we do for single leg also. At times we have muscle imbalances. You can maybe your left leg is stronger than the right one, or vice versa. So it's always important to do single leg also. To incorporate single legs into your workouts. So this one you hold the dumbbell using one hand, and you bend again. We are working the leg which is holding the dumbbell, then we change again.
Yes, let's see guys, we have done the quads and the hamstrings. And we're going to come back for a part 2.
Oh yeah.
Because you're not yet done with the lower body. There's still so much that we need to put work into. But we hope this particular workout has been helpful to you. And please make sure you go work out. I know it's not easy. And right now we're in the other half part of the year. So whatever New Year resolutions you might have set aside at the beginning of the year, this is where you pick it up. You keep on pushing yourself. Yeah.
No, I don't have much to say because I used to see people crying in the gym.
You understand why?
Wow. Now I know why they used to. And even if you do, please remember the goal. Go back and continue.
Yes.
You can do it.
Exactly.
You're stronger than your excuses.
Absolutely. My name is Samantha.
My name is Faith.
Yes. Bye.
See you.
Hey guys, this amazing episode was shot at Chester Hotel during the Indigo Fitness Health Club so that you can also be fit. So you're all welcome. Remember, Chester Hotel, Indigo Health and Fitness Club. See you here.